Hey guys, and welcome back to the most highly requested series on my channel, Game Sense 101. In this video or episode, we're going to focus on loadouts and weapon combos. If you haven't seen any of the other episodes of my Game Sense series, I definitely suggest watching them, as you'll start to understand and see what Game Sense is, why it's important, and then learn all the specific aspects of it, which are what each episode is about. Loadouts and weapon combos, as we'll see in a second, are a huge part of the game overall, and Game Sense specifically. Every game you drop, you'll loot and kill people with different guns, so deciding what loadout to take in each specific situation is hard. Knowing what the most effective weapon combos within your loadout and managing all of this while actually playing is what this video will try to help you improve upon. As always, I'll put some timestamps on the screen now for each little subtopic that I cover. When I talk about actual examples and some good weapon combos to use, I'll throw in some clips from my stream or from players like Tfue and Cease's streams to give you guys some more context. So with that being said, let's first talk about why your loadout is so important and how much it influences your gameplay. Your loadout in game are the 5 weapons and items you decide to pick up and have in your inventory. It's everything you see in the bottom right of your screen each match. I talked about this a little in my video on how to be more consistent, but you should always base your decisions, like how you're going to play a fight or how you're going to rotate. You need to base all these things on your current loadout. If you're on low ground and a guy is building above you, the smartest move is to either knock him down or build up yourself and contest for height. If you only have a white AK and a green pump, there's no way you're going to have time to shoot at his builds. If you had an RPG or a gold scar, then shooting him down would be your game plan. And if you decided to contest for height, again, with only a white AK and a green pump, you have no items that could throw off the guy on high ground, like impulse grenades or boosting yourself up with a flintknock pistol. Even if you do outbuild them for height, after you shoot your pump, you're going to be forced to use your white AK, which is terrible up close. Now you should start to be seeing how your loadout and game sense are linked. Someone who doesn't have a ton of game sense wouldn't play around their loadout. These are the clowns that are in your face when they have a shotgun and an RPG, and they end up RPGing themselves to death because they didn't position themselves correctly to use their loadout effectively. Improving how to play around your loadout is really useful in the early game because of all the RNG when you land. Sometimes you'll land on 3 hunting rifles, sometimes you'll actually get lucky and find a pump in your house, and if you're really lucky, you'll find some decent weapons and shields where you basically already have your loadout for late game. But no matter what you get, you should always play to the strengths of it. This clip from my stream shows a good example of me changing my playstyle completely to use my current loadout to its full potential. I land in retail and only find a green pump. I could rotate to other houses nearby, but I saw other people land there, and I know there's a low chance of me beating them with just one pump. Instead, I rotate up to the business building side and I see a soccer skin aimed in with a scoped AR. I slowly crouch walk my way over to make as little noise as possible, and I wait until I can get as close as I can to maximize the pump's damage by hitting more pellets. As the soccer skin turns around and jumps up, I wait for him to be coming back on the way down, and then I shoot and hit him for 95 because I'll know exactly where he'll land. Then I build up to prevent any return fire and secure the kill even though he sticks me with a clinger. Damn soccer skin. But anyways, that's where someone with a bad game IQ and poor game sense would really screw up. So many players would just build up or just run up to try to get really close to them, and the soccer skin would have turned around and built up earlier. What a lot of other players would do if they were in that situation is just shoot the soccer skin as soon as they were close, and they probably would have done like 30 damage with the pump. You can't play every scenario like you have a gold scar and a gold pump, because in most situations you don't, and you won't have those guns. You need to look at your current loadout and think about where you're most effective from, and then how you can put yourself in those effective positions to win the fight. Now let's talk about actual loadouts you'll run in game and how you should decide which loadout to use. With any loadout, like I said before, you have 5 slots to choose from. Your loadout will always be changing throughout the game as you constantly kill people, or when you loot new areas, you get supply drops and hidden treasure chests. Obviously, you want to try and not have 3 white pistols in your loadout, but in the early game, you don't really have a choice. What I want to focus on is your loadout for mid game and end game. By the time the second or third circle closes is when you should have a full loadout that you're willing and comfortable to use for the rest of the game. That doesn't mean that it will be your loadout for the end of the game, but you should have a rough idea of what it will look like based on what you're rocking. Not every gun or item is made equal, so I'm not going to sit here and try to say that you should be able to win with a white AR and a white tac. There's really only 2 rules that I have for how you should pick your loadout. First is that you have a shotgun, preferably at least a green pump, but you always need a shotgun. A shotgun will be the most important gun in your loadout. If you don't have a shotgun within the first 5 minutes of the game, you need to find one because everyone else who's alive will have one. Even if it's only a white tac, you always need some sort of shotgun in your inventory and in your loadout. As we'll talk about in a minute, you really don't need an AR or an SMG, but you always need a shotgun. This is mainly because building allows enemies to gap close really quickly and get pretty much on top of you, so most of the fighting you'll do throughout the game, if you notice, is close range, so without a shotgun you're dead meat. You can avoid long range fights by just building and running away, but you can pretty much never avoid short range engagements because people will always be pushing you. The other rule I have is that you should always be holding some sort of heals or shields. Bandages, minis, half pots, slurps, medkits, or chugs, whatever it is, always try and hold one. The main difference when compared to shotguns are that a lot of the time you won't find heals or shields to hold on to, while shotguns are everywhere. Shields and heals are honestly hard to come by a lot, and the thing is that you'll end up using them throughout the game and in fights. With a shotgun you can just get more ammo and you can keep using it, but after you use one slurp, you don't get another one back. It's gone forever. This is the worst thing about pubs, because in arena you get 50 health or shield per kill, but in pubs you don't, and even if you kill someone, a lot of the time they won't have anything when they die, so even if you loot their body they won't have any sort of heals or shields, which is why pubs are so bad right now. My personal tier list for shields and heals to carry would be this: carry 6 minis above everything else. The next best thing would be 3 half pots, then 2 slurps, then 1 chug jug, then 3 medkits, and then finally 15 bandages. This is of course if you can only carry 1 shield or heal. If you're carrying 2 meds or shields, then make sure they're not ones that take a long time to use. So if you have a chug jug, then take bandages or minis instead of medkits or half pots, because medkits take so much longer to use than bandages, and you probably won't be able to get them off if you're getting pressured in an actual game and fight. For your overall loadout, if we're sticking to our rule with 1 shotgun and 1 shield or heal, we have 3 other slots left to use. Every game will call for a different loadout just based on how many people are left alive, how much health and shield you currently have, what kind of loot you find, and the actual type of game mode you're in. So for public matches, you're fine running with 4 weapons and 1 heal. This is what I usually run in pubs because I go for high kill games, and it gives you the most opportunity to kill people as you have 4 different weapons to use and to kill people with. With 4 weapons, I'll run an AR, shotgun, SMG, and then either a sniper or RPG or grenade launcher. You can also run 3 weapons and 2 heals, or 3 weapons and 1 heal and 1 utility. A utility item would be something like a Rift to Go, or impulse grenades, or stink bombs, or sticky grenades, or boogie bombs. What I like to run a lot is 3 weapons, 1 shield, and then the utility being glider redeploy. Glider redeploy is amazing for public matches and competitive matches. You can take build fights and not worry about being shot out, and you could use it for rotations at the end of a match. With 3 weapons, I'll always use a shotgun of course, and then either an AR and a sniper, or an AR and an RPG, or an AR and an SMG. For arena matches and World Cup qualifiers, which are competitive game modes, most of the time you'll want to run 3 or 2 weapons, so 3 being the max. I've even seen some pros use just a shotgun. Competitive matches are much different because you always want some rotation or utility like a Rift to Go or glider redeploy. In public matches, most of the people use Rift to Go's to try and find kills, but in competitive, there's so many people endgame that you want to hold on to the Rift to Go for rotations. If you're lucky enough to find a Rift to Go in a competitive match and heals and another utility like stinks or boogie bombs, then hold on to all of those and just use 2 weapons. With 2 weapons, you'll have a shotgun, so you can run either an AR or a silenced SMG with it. Because endgames are all close range fighting, you're actually better off using a silenced SMG instead of an AR. An AR is good for early and mid game where you can catch people from farther away, but endgame in competitive matches is literally 30 people in a tiny little circle, so having a blue silenced SMG will be way better than a purple SCAR most of the time. The last loadout, which I wouldn't recommend unless you get really lucky and you find like 5 Rift to Go's, is to run just 1 shotgun. You have to really play smart and only take shots when you can, but if you find like 5 Rift to Go's like Issa does in this picture, that's basically 5 free rotations without using any mats at all. To decide which loadout is the best for each situation, just try as many different loadouts as you can and see what you're comfortable with. Don't force yourself to use a heavy sniper if you're not good with it just because Tfue is. You learn what works best for you in that specific game and game mode with practice and experience. So just hop into some arena matches and practice running a silenced SMG and a shotgun, or an AR and a shotgun and a sniper. There's no shortcuts to it, but hopefully watching this video will help you improve your game sense and give you tips to think for yourself in terms of loadouts and weapon combos. The last section I want to cover is weapon combos, which we haven't talked about yet. For solos, my favorite 2 weapon combos are pump flintknock and boogie bomb clinger. The pump flintknock combo is like a stronger double pump. Of course you can only do it once because the pump has a delay and how slow the flintknock reloads, but you can do like 400 damage to people if you hit your shots and you headshot them. The other combo for solos that I like to use is the Boogie Bomb Clinger combo, which I covered in my advanced tips and tricks. It's basically a guaranteed kill if you can stick someone with 2 clingers after you Boogie Bomb them. There's literally no counter to it or way to block it after you get boogied because you can't build or do anything else. For duos and squads, my favorite combos are double heavy snipers, heavy sniper and RPGs, and rift to go with clingers. Double heavy sniper and heavy sniper RPG are essentially the same thing. Your duo snipes and breaks a wall that an opponent is behind, and then you snipe the person who's behind it in the face with your sniper. Or you could use an RPG instead, so right as your duo snipes the wall out, you would have already timed your RPG so it gets right into their builds. These are both used by a ton of pro players in tourneys and scrims because it's really hard to counter unless you're turbo building the wall beforehand. The last combo is the Clinger Rift to Go combo, which is also from my advanced tips and tricks. You basically use a rift to go to rift you and an opponent in front of you into the sky, all while your teammate had already thrown 2 clingers on you, so right as you come out of the rift, they explode and you get a guaranteed kill. There are a ton of other combos that you can use and think of yourselves, but I just wanted to show you guys a few examples of how your loadouts alone, or how yours and your teammates' loadouts can help you make plays using 2 different items in your loadouts. Overall though, your loadout is extremely important and should always be used to decide how you play and what you do next. You always need to be thinking about what loadout is best for the game you're in and what loot you have available. And finally, always try to use the weapons and utility you have together to make plays that you couldn't make with just that one item alone. So if this video helped you guys improve your game sense, be sure to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications. Thank you to everyone who uses my code. We're getting really close to the 10k supporter mark, so we can start the Ducky12 mini giveaway soon. Make sure to follow my Twitter and Instagram to stay up to date for that. Otherwise, that's it from me, and I will see you guys in the next one. Later.